Today we have a custom creature that I created from a Marvel Legends thing and a Schleich Eldrador. I think his name was, it wasn't Lava Monster, but it was something close to that. And I kept going in and out of the stores. I kept going to Barnes and Noble, and I keep finding these guys, and I'm like, wow, these guys are cool looking, but they have basically no articulation. You can swivel that around, same thing, then a torso twist, and then you could do this. So I thought, wow, these guys are super cool. These designs are very unique. I find them very cool, but they won't work. If you have a Marvel Legends action figure, there's nothing intimidating about this character, because what does this make him, 4 feet tall? It's just not very scary. So the idea was always to pick them up and put them on a modern body with articulation like what we have here. And the first out of the 3 that I chose to go with is this guy here. So I continued the molten lava aesthetic that he has. I love the idea of just like a pile of rocks, just super hot, just flames constantly bursting out of him. Like, animation would be real fun to watch with this guy. He would just always have flames coming up, going up and down, up and down. I feel like the flames on his head would just always be flowing in the back. So the thing body was kind of perfect. It's a little bigger than your average Marvel Legends buck, and it also had a lot of, it had much more. This thing figure is not a pinnacle of articulation. For example, there's nothing in the bicep cut, but he's got torso, he's got shoulders, he's got elbows, he had wrist articulation that allowed you to go this way, and then typical up and down hinge on the hands. He's got a torso, he has a swivel here. So basically what you would call modern articulation. So I really liked that he already had a very rugged, rocky texture. It was pretty much perfect for him. I figured this was just the right body to use. I wasn't sure how much I was going to be able to salvage from the original Schleich figure. I had to conservatively cut, and I still have a few pieces. Like, he had a bunch of flames on his back that I kept. I'm going to need a better Dremel to cut through it, but we'll see what I do there. But I still became a bit ingenuitive with this custom. I didn't want to just replace things. So as you can see here, I have a fully articulated head, and that's because this head actually that is the thing's head. I'll move out of the way so you could see it's actually the thing's jaw. I just cut all around it, and I basically I put the lower jaw on, and then I put the top piece on, and then I tried to do my best filling the back up with hot glue. I tried to kind of give it an even look, but it was kind of hard. Most of my attempts just ended up making him look like a Super Saiyan. So I kind of flattened it out a bit and then painted it. And yeah, it's all right. It's the back. You're not really going to be looking at the back. I do fully customize my figures, so the backs are done and painted, but never to the same extremity that I do on the front. I also made sure that I retained all his articulation points. I did a rough draft with the first coat of paint to see what would rub off, so I would know where to sand, just to make sure I didn't have paint rub. It's not a perfect job, but this isn't a very clean paint job. It was pretty easy to do. I just covered him in orange to begin with, which is ironic because he kind of started in orange, but I wanted a more neon orange to represent like hot magma. The thing's original orange is kind of mellow. It looks more like rocks and not like flowing lava. So I went over him with that base coat, and then what I did was I just dry brushed a lot with glossy black acrylic to get this kind of molten rock finish on most of the pieces. I wasn't 100% sure how to handle the tights, but I like what I did. I cut the thing's belt off, and what I used was a matte black acrylic for contrast. So that's why the black can look different enough. They're both default folk art black, but one's gloss, one's matte. So they look different enough. Matte's a little tough. I'm trying not to handle it. I mean, you touch the matte black with your finger, and it picks up everything. So yeah, we'll get back to that later. I did use a Tamashi flame effect from what you see here. I cut off different pieces of just this piece individually, and I was able to get all these little flame fixins you see here. I just cut them with the Dremel and then kind of sanded them to get a half round edge, which made it easier to apply. I put a couple on the legs, not to leave the legs out. I also, once again, was trying to save as many pieces from the original as possible. So what I did was, with magnets, I made it so I could pop the hands off and on real easily and retain the, get at least swivel articulation like this. But that was because I saved his original hands. His original hands are open, flame-filled, and I just thought a lot of fun. Same kind of thing. We just have two magnets placed there. I did paint over it, but the magnetism pretty much eradicates the paint. So, but it doesn't matter. You won't ever really see it. So he's got a different set of hands, and I really like these hands. They go really well. I made sure to kind of coordinate the paints, but I didn't stop there. Even when I had this setup, I thought, all right, he looks pretty great. He looks like a big flaming bruiser, which was kind of what I wanted. And I thought, you know, what else could I do? And I thought, you know what, the original has a lot of back flames. So what I did was I took the back flames from a Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Green Goblin from a while back, the Ultimate Green Goblin Build-A-Figure, I think 2014, I think when that came out. And I actually didn't have mine. I actually had to eBay. I got myself a set. I got the head and the back flame for a decent price. I'll probably use the head for another custom. I was really kicking myself for getting rid of it years ago. And I made a back flame effect. And with this one, it is flaring out a bit wider. I used hot glue to emulate the flames. So what you see on the far left and the far right, I had to make myself. And I just did my best to try to retain the original design. And what I thought was really cool is that it doesn't go on as well as I thought it would, but it's good enough. I like it because it gives the idea that the character is at kind of level 2. He's kind of like a final boss phase at this point, and he's just completely inflamed. So from a video game perspective, this was a lot of fun to make. I pictured all types of boss fights, you know, you could fight this guy with while making him. And like I said, retaining, oh, there goes the back piece. While retaining the articulation, I'm able to get him in all kinds of fun poses. And just let him really look alive. So I'm going to swap the hands out for spacing. And I'll just give you guys a little bit of a show here with some other figures for scaling. I wanted to make sure he looked 6-inch scale and intimidating, but not too much of a giant. So he's kind of looking, he's probably a little shorter than a Hulk, but still very wide, still very powerful, still pretty scary looking. So there's the Marvel Legends Retro Spider-Man, Walmart exclusive. Lucky me, was able to find that. Real stroke of luck. Mafex Cyclops. And I also had a fun idea. I thought he could be a cool curse for Itadori to fight. So I think I like the height best where Yuji stands, because it's even more intimidating because of figure arts being more along the lines of True 6 and not Marvel Legends 6.5 scale that they invented just to piss everybody off. I'm pretty happy with this guy. It took a little longer than expected. I didn't have everything from the start that I knew I wanted, but it was kind of like every couple of days I worked on him a little bit, and I got more ideas, and I just did more things with the Dremel. The magnets took a little while. I kind of, one pitfall I had in the very beginning was what to do with the pegs for the wrists, because I wanted to use these hands, but I wanted to keep the original peg design to retain the wrist articulation. But when I realized there really wasn't any way to emulate that peg into these flame hands without getting another thing and then cutting, maybe epoxying it to this one, but then I still wouldn't be able to swivel it. So the magnets kind of made the most sense. For a little more customizability, you know, I put this magnet pretty much right at the top of the hinge to make a generic hand, but this one I did a little more stylized because I wanted the idea of him to kind of cock his fist back. I also ended up going in on the forearms quite a bit. The original plan was to, like I said, use the pegs and pop it in this way, but then that would have... I also thought of taking the pegs off these hands, but then I thought, oh, then he's always going to have open hands, and I like the idea of having multiple hands. So I did end up... because originally the thing has a very, very thick forearm setup that actually goes all the way down to the wrist, and these fists are really chonky, so it didn't really... see, it didn't look bad that way, but there was no inward motion really to the direction. I'm explaining this poorly, but I think you get what I'm saying. I had to trim away because this piece, even when cut and hollowed out, wouldn't fit. So I had to hollow this out because these were flames all over the place. So I had to hollow this out and then also make this slimmer. So we get to this kind of more shapely forearm. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with him. I think he'll look good on the shelf. And if anything, it was a nice success for the Schleich creatures. So I'll probably mess with this ice guy next. And we'll see what I could do with him. They should be natural enemies. And then I'll try to cook something up with this guy. And hopefully he doesn't end up looking too much like Groot. I do love this shield. Even this claw fist is pretty cool. I'll probably cut that. Well, we'll see for the future. But for now, you can enjoy these pictures. If you got any questions, throw them in the comments section. And all that. Have a great day, guys. Bye.